he blames the Labour government. My Honourable Minister Sinatambu has come up with this non-Yepabon syndrome. But I will say that they have this syndrome of tout ce qui pas bon met le Parti Travailliste. But we'll see. We'll see. I have gone back. I have dusted off the first budget of this government that was presented by Honorable Lakshmi Naraidu, the magician. The magician who had promised us le deuxième miracle économique. And I said to myself, let me go and see, since this government has come to power, in their first budget, what they had promised to the population. I won't go in all the projects, a few of them, what they promised, what he promised. For 2015, I'm talking about GDP. For 2015-2016, we expect GDP growth to go up to 5.8%, and for 2016-2017, we are targeting a growth of 5.7%. This was what was promised by Le Magicien in his first budget, and we know that in 2015-2016, the growth rate was only 3.2%. Let us look at the projects. He promised high investment and high employment. We remember he said there will be 2 jobs for each unemployed person, young person in this country. Smart cities, Maurice sur un vaste chantier de développement. When we look around us, we see recession everywhere. L'île Maurice, nation d'entrepreneurs, the SME Bank. In fact, Mobank was created. 10 billion seed capital was earmarked, out of which peanuts were given to the SMEs. Transforming the Port Louis Harbour from a destination port to a regional hub. We haven't seen DP World. DP World has vanished. What else was promised? Gradués chômeurs. 3,000 gradués chômeurs. They will be trained, they will be employed, they will be given 80,000 rupees per student per year. Nothing. What else? The Marshall Plan against poverty, 0. Nation Zugadère. They were saying that the country under the Labour government has become a nation Zugadère. And you will remember, Madam the Speaker, this same government, same Minister of Finance, granted 10 betting licenses. 10 betting licenses. So this was what was announced to the public at the crossroads. We have wasted 1 year. We have seen nothing coming. Then enters Honorable Pravin Kumar Jagnnath, Minister of Finance. A new era of development. His budget speech, 2016-2017. Let us see what was promised. Embobinement, bamboozling with the population. They he promised that the expected growth would be 3.9%. But according to the statistics Mauritius, it reached 3.7%. Anyway, we give him the benefit of the doubt. We know finance ministers tend to be optimistic. We give him the benefit of the doubt. SMEs, there will be 2 new SME industrial parks, one at Glenmagnon in my constituency, and one at Vilma. 0, nothing. Dubois, promises made to the tea planters. Moreover, the ex-Dubois tea factory, which was closed in the late 1990s, will be reopened to promote tea and other agro-processing activities. Nothing has been done up to now. Let us look at what was said about the Rosebel Business Park. Furthermore, the Rosebel Business Park will host the new Mauritius International Derivatives and Commodities Exchange. I am allocating 50 million as seed capital for its initial setup. 0. Heritage City, promised to the population. 0. Consumer protection. This reminds me of this phrase, this sentence. There was a certain time in this country where you could go to the shop with a pocket full of money and you come back home with a bag full of goods. Today, you go to the shop with a bag full of money and you come back with a pocket full of goods. Consumer protection. Ensu lo jipa. Well, these were what was promised to the population. This is why I said bamboozling is the appropriate word. Now, let me, Madam the Speaker, well, the second budget as well, Madam the Speaker, was a non-starter, and we have seen 2 years of waste. Promises, 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 no projects, nothing have been realized. Now let me come to the present budget. I will go, Madam the Speaker, on the economic indicators. What is being promised now? Now, the Honourable Prime Minister and Minister of Finance has promised a growth of 3.9% for 2016-2017. I've said that the GDP that was published last year and the GDP was downgraded to 3.7%. Now he's promising that there will be a growth of 4.1% next year. And what Statistic Mauritius is forecasting is that there will only be a growth of 3.9%. Investment. A lot has been said about investment. He promised an increase in investment from 17.5% to 17.9% with higher public investment. And the results, according to Statistics Mauritius, shows that the investment rate has decreased from 17.4% in 2015 to 17.2% in 2016. Well, he said that apparently there has been an increase as far as private sector investment is concerned. But what he fails to tell the population is that there has been a decrease of negative 2.9% as far as public sector investment is concerned. And this is what explains that only 2/3 of the capital expenditure that was voted has been spent. Only 2/3 of the capital expenditure that we voted had been spent. Public debt, Madam the Speaker, is another serious problem. We know public debt has increased from 65.1% from end of June 2016 to 66.1% of GDP. An amount of 295 reçu de l'Inde. Public money. There is one thing which is important, which has not been in the budget, and it concerns the private sector debt. The budget is silent about private sector debt. Would be surprised, Madam. Since 2004, up to this year, there has been a sharp increase of private sector debt, which has risen from 73% in 2004 to 103% in 2016. That is, there has been a 30 percentage point increase over a period of 10 years. This is according to the statistics of Bank of Mauritius. If you go through the statistics, you will see that for the year, in March, if you go back to March 2015, the private sector debt was 278 billions. Then it has risen in March 2016 to 283 billions. And now, if you look at the latest figure, for April 2017, it has gone up to 345 billions. These figures are alarming. And we are saying, why isn't the private sector investing? Because when we look at the figures, they are highly indebted. Look at the sectors. Agriculture, 21 milliards. Manufacturing, 20 milliards. Tourism, 39 milliards. Construction, worst. 88 billions. Traders, 30 milliards. And it goes on and goes on. You have global business, 59 billions. So we are in a situation where the private sector is heavily indebted. We have public debt on our head. We also have this serious problem about private debt, private sector debt. And what is being proposed in the budget? What has the Minister of Finance proposed to these private sectors? What incentives are they given for them to be able to clear out their debt? Nothing. Nothing in the budget. And now, what is worst? What is worse, Madam the Speaker? We have public debt increasing. We have the private sector being indebted to banks. And we see our economy stagnate over the years. There has been stagnation over the years. The economy has not grown. And this is a serious problem because eventually what will happen? We will become a nation endettée. This is the route that we are taking. And nothing has been provided for in the budget. Now, there is another problem. We have, on the one hand, the public sector heavily indebted with what the figures that I've shown, 379 milliards. And on the other hand, we have an excess of liquidity in the banks. Public sector are indebted and an excess of liquidity in the banks. Therefore, what do we deduce? That these private sectors, they are so heavily indebted that they cannot even borrow money from the banks. This is why we are not seeing any investment. On the one hand, they are indebted, and on the other hand, they cannot borrow money. Excess of liquidity. And what is being proposed? Instead of coming with concrete solutions to boost up the private sector, don't talk about this 7.4 ou 5.4% de growth in the private sector. This is all in real estate, non-productive sector. And instead of coming with concrete solutions to help the private sector, to boost up the economy, we are increasing the limit. We are increasing in this budget the minimum capital requirement for banks from 200 millions to 400 millions. But this is going to cause another problem. The idea was to clear out the excess liquidity. This is why the Minister of Finance is proposing that the minimum capital requirement be raised from 200 millions to 400 millions. But then, there will be a price for that. And you know what will happen, Madam the Speaker? Commercial banks are going to restrict lending. They are going to restrict lending to the private sector. So we are in a vicious circle. It will continue. This is why I'm saying that we have taken the wrong route. We are going directly towards l'endettement. The nation will be endetted. We have to be very careful. We need to be very careful. And this is why I'm saying this government is bamboozling the people. Nothing concrete is being proposed. Now, let us look at foreign direct investment. The other day, I listened to my friend, Honorable Mahin Siratan, Minister of Agro-Industry. He was saying that in 2014, when we took up, when we came in power, the economy was, at its low. As I've said, everything that goes wrong, c'est le Parti Travailliste qui est responsable. But let us look at the figures. Foreign direct investment in 2014, when Labour government left. We had received FDI, 18.5 milliards. Well, 1.6. I'm a bit careful with my friend right now when he talks about figures. I better be careful. But then, it's not about the quantity. We have to see where does the FDI comes from. Is it coming from productive sectors or unproductive sectors? And you would realize, let me look at the figures again. The gross direct investment flows from the Bank of Mauritius. When you look at the figures, Madam the Speaker, as I've said in 2014, 18 milliards FDI. That was when the Labour government left. And out of which there was 6 milliards from real estate, and 6 million approximately from accommodation and food service activities, productive sectors. Half from real estate, half from productive sectors like accommodation and food services. And in 2016, when we look at the figures, 13 million of FDI have been received, out of which, you would be surprised, out of 13 million, nearly 10 million from real estates. 73, au-delà de 73% de FDI proviennent de real estates, unproductive sectors. And only about 200 millions from hotels, accommodation and services. So you see, the FDI, we shouldn't boast up, we say there has been an increase in FDI from 2015. We have to see where the FDI are being invested. So, Madam the Speaker, there is also, let me very briefly go to a few sectors in the budget that I believe we have failed to address. We have failed to come up with concrete solutions. We have the financial sector. There was a PNQ this morning, and it's a pity, Madam the Speaker. It's a pity when we know all these challenges that are facing the financial sector. The aftermath of the renegotiation of the DTA treaty with India. We know what will be the impact on the financial sector. We know about the OECD and G20, about the issue about the BEPS, base erosion and profit shifting. We have all these challenges facing our financial sector. And what have we heard from the Minister this morning? About the case of Alvaro. It's a pity how there has been cover-up. We are destroying the financial sector. We are sending the wrong signal. There are about 14 to 15,000 people getting their lives in that sector. We are putting their career at stake. We should be very careful. Look at the... Although I do appreciate the decision that was taken about the blueprint over 10 years. But then we have to come with immediate action. Challenges are facing us in 2 years. So we have to be very careful about this sector, Madam the Speaker. There is another issue about unemployment. In fact, the 3-year strategic plan does mention the concerns with regards to youth unemployment and women unemployment. Unfortunately, again, I've heard nothing about solutions being proposed to tackle this problem. There is no indication of the number of jobs that government expects to create, except for recruitments in the police services and health sectors. There is this program, the Youth Employment Program, and there is a serious problem about this program. In my constituency, Madam the Speaker, I have met with so many youth. They have been through that program. Well, first of all, there is not enough transparency on how recruitments are done, how these people are selected to follow the programs. There's no transparency at all. This is one issue. Secondly, they are enrolled on this program on a 2-year contract. And most of them, after their 2-year contract, they are back in the streets. No permanent job is being created. There's this case about 115 trainees who followed courses at the MIE, and after their contract, they had no jobs. So there is no holistic solution to holistic teachers, yes. And there is no holistic solution about unemployment, unfortunately. And in fact, in May this year, even the Minister of Labour made a public declaration. He made a public statement to the press. He said that this program will have to be revisited. And he even said that he has made proposals to the Minister of Finance, to the Honourable Prime Minister, to come up with solutions to revisit this program. But unfortunately, we see nothing in the budget. There is another issue facing the nation, aging population. Would you realize, Madam the Speaker, social benefits is projected to increase by 7.7%? And this is a serious challenge. This is a serious challenge to the pension scheme. Again, even, in fact, if we look at the 3-year strategic plan, mention is made about this problem. If we look at if I may, Madam the Speaker. Yes. Population growth in Mauritius has stagnated at a low rate of 0.1% in recent years, while total population at the end of 2016 was 1.26 million. It is expected to decline as from year 2020s. So there is a serious problem, and we have to find solutions. And what solutions is being proposed in this budget? Nothing. Targeting is not the solution, unfortunately. Even increasing the tax exemption. Would you imagine someone already having 3 dependents will now go and give birth to another child just to benefit from those few thousand rupees? Is this an incentive that is going to tackle this problem of aging population? If you look at other jurisdictions, look at Singapore. Singapore has come up with restructuring plans. They have come up with crash courses to reskill their labor. Those who have retired, who wants to come back to the workforce, there are crash courses that are being offered to them for them to be employable. So these are concrete solutions. Otherwise, if we leave matters as it stands, we are in deep trouble, Madam the Speaker. The sugar sector. We know the sugar sector is facing a lot of problems. With the sugar protocol coming to an end, we know the quotas have all been removed, and we are facing a lot of problem in that sector. And again, what is being proposed? Removal of VAT on lorries. But most of the sugarcane planters, they don't own lorries themselves. How is this going to be beneficial to them? We are thinking of bringing back abandoned land under cane cultivation, sugarcane cultivation, but the product is not profitable. Sugar is no more profitable. What incentives are being proposed to help those small planters? People want to see, the small planters want to see concrete measures. We will have, at the end of this year, I think, the renegotiation of the power purchase agreement. This will concern Alteo. And this is going to be a precedent for the other power purchase agreements that will come in the future. And I hope that the Minister of Agro-Industry is going to negotiate terms in favor of the small planters. And I'm talking here about the price of bagasse. Under the bagasse transfer fund, a meager 125 rupees per ton. The percentage that they get is, I think, about only 12%. I hope that the Minister of Agro-Industry is going to take this opportunity, negotiate terms in favor of the small planters, and set this as a precedent for the other agreements that are going to come in the future. I also wish that the Minister of Agro-Industry give an undertaking to the small planters about the sustainability fund. Money is being provided by the CB, but it's only for 3 years, and it's coming to an end, I think, 2017. I hope that this also is going to be renewed. These are concrete measures that small planters are expecting in the budget. Now let me come to the Betamax issue. Madam Speaker, I have a lot of respect to the Minister Mentor. He has been a politician. I have a lot of respect for him. But it was a pity on that day, the other day when he intervened, trying to defend the position of government on this dossier. Would you believe this? A Queen Counsel, Minister Mentor, trying to convince us, trying to convince the population that he had terminated the contract of Betamax on the advice of Honorable Bada? Would you believe this? He has to tell the truth to the public. Is it true or not that the Office of the Attorney General, the Solicitor General, had advised government not to resiliate this contract? Is it not the truth? Now he's trying to tell us he didn't follow what the Attorney General... I hope that the Attorney General has advised him. He's trying to convince us that he didn't follow the Attorney General, he didn't follow the Solicitor General's advice, and he's followed Mr. Bada's advice. So as I've said, if something is wrong, then it's either Parti Travailliste, or MMM, or PMSD, or Bada. This is their problem. Now, there is also this issue about minimum wage. There's inconsistency on this issue. We have the negative income tax. Now, this is clearly in contradiction with what government had promised. The minimum wage. What will happen to the minimum wage? When we come up with the minimum wage, well, first of all, are we coming up with a minimum wage? That's the first question. And if we come up with the minimum wage, then what will happen to the negative income tax? That's another issue. So we are not being told what will happen, what government is going to do. Let me talk about my constituency. I will end with my constituency, Madam the Speaker. For 2 years, we had the first budget at the crossroads. At the crossroads means that we have reached a stage where we need to take important decisions for the future of our country. I've said it, it's been 1 year of waste. Then we had the second budget, the new era, waste again. And in none of those two budgets was there any project about my constituency, my Plan Mayon. ma constitution a été l'orphelin in those two budgets. Nothing, no provisions mentioned for my beau plan Marion. So much so, I was saying this to my colleagues. You know what? Honorable Jabru is not here. Well, I have to congratulate him. At least he managed to upgrade the cemetery at Tombo Maibo. And he was so happy. Well, it's a good, I have to congratulate him. You know, it's a good thing. But he was so happy having managed to at least realize one project during those 2 years. I think 2 weeks' time I was invited in a function, and the audience was composed of old-age pensioners. And he said to them, you know, he was so pleased about having upgraded the cemetery. He said, you need to go and have a look. And he even said to them, you know, I have even planted flowers. I have even put lights. And you are invited to come during the night. Go and have a walk at Tombo in the cemetery at night. So pleased. So pleased. My friend Ariram was present during the function. So he was so pleased in his 2 years. In constituency number 12, he's managed to come up with a project. Well, I hope that I can see that 3 projects have been identified. The incinerator at Tombo, there's the market at Mayberg, and Plaine Magnon. But I hope that these projects will be completed before the end of the mandate of this government. So, Madam the Speaker, well, I was talking about my constituency. I remember about a couple of weeks ago, Honorable Jagru, along with Honorable Riram, went and visit the waterfront at Mayberg. And you know what they promised to the President? That there will be an artificial beach. Artificial beach along waterfront. Rémiaudier, artificial beach. And I even put a question when they are coming up with this project. But I see nothing in the budget. Unfortunately, I see nothing in the budget. So, Madam the Speaker, I will finish here by saying one thing. I've said bamboozling. 2 years, the population has been bamboozled by this government. And I'm sure when I look at this budget, that they will be bamboozled till the end of this current mandate. But there's one thing. You can bamboozle as long as you can. But patience has a limit. So be careful. Thank you, Madam Speaker.